Less than 50 doctors graduate annually to cater for the country's increasing population. Another victim of alleged police shooting during a confrontation in Leh City. And evicted residents told to return but ordered to pay up rentals.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Monday's news. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. It's good to be back and it's great to have your company. Every year, the School of Medicine and Health Sciences at the University of Papua New Guinea takes in only 60 scholars and graduates only 45 doctors. This is not enough to cater for the ever-growing population of 7 million people. The only clinical school, Port Moresby General Hospital, is forced to keep the number this way due to limited training facilities and infrastructure. This was revealed at the MOA signing between the Port Moresby General Hospital and the School of Medicine and Health Sciences today.
After almost 50 years since the inception of Port Moresby General Hospital and UPNG School of Medicine and Health Sciences, a memorandum of agreement was signed to officially spell out the roles and responsibilities when it comes to training medical professionals and the funding aspect.
It has its own separate funding. We do talk about in the MOA costs, who covers costs for certain activities. And basically if it's a hospital patient care activity, then it would be covered by the hospital. If it's a teaching activity, then it's covered by the university.
Since 1966, Port Moresby General Hospital and UPNG School of Medicine and Health Sciences operated on a common understanding to train medical professionals. However, over time, there was demand for more doctors and nurses. But Port Moresby General Hospital needs the necessary manpower and infrastructure to cater for this.
Young people for training, but we can't do it unless we have major improvements in our infrastructure and in our staffing levels.
Please, at this point in time, until we have manpower increase, as the province has said, and we need infrastructure.
This campus, Toronto campus, has expanded in regards to programs, but as already been indicated, it's the infrastructure and manpower. We take, for the doctor's training, we take in 60 students per year. We're happy to take it to 100 students per year, but we can't do that for the reasons outlined by the Dean and other speakers.
It has been 3 years since the contracts for the new workforce was done, but yet to be implemented. Bridget Comatab, National EMTV News.
On the same note, Port Moresby General Hospital has provided the clinical setting for many final year medical professionals from the UPNG School of Medicine and Health Sciences. Since 1966, final year students have been undergoing their clinical training in one of the country's premier hospitals, Port Moresby General. However, the country has now a new clinical school in Goroka.
We have set up a clinical school in Goroka at the Goroka General Hospital. So our 4th years and 5th years will be posted for their clinical experience in another hospital. So one day there could be another signing of agreement between the Medical School University and Goroka General Hospital's administration. Who knows, in a few years' time we might be looking at Medang for the 3rd clinical school. We might be looking at one of the island hospitals for the 4th clinical school. So the concept is that Port Moresby Hospital has been the 1st clinical school, Goroka is now the 2nd clinical school, and it will expand.
Goroka villagers in the Morobe province are calling for an investigation into the death of a woman on Saturday who they claim died of a gunshot wound. Villagers allege that the woman was shot by a stray bullet from police firearms during a confrontation at the Goroka market. The woman's body was transported to Leh's Angao Hospital, where it is awaiting a post-mortem to determine the cause of death.
The body of the woman arrived at Leh's Angao Hospital on Saturday accompanied by relatives. The victim, Gedisau Yanan, was in her late 50s. The mother of 7 children and several grandchildren was killed at the Gurako village along the Bulolo Highway. Eyewitnesses say Gedisau was selling peanuts along the road during a confrontation with police when she was killed.
Her
body was taken by the police and relatives to Leys Angau Hospital morgue. The cause of death is yet to be established when a post-mortem is carried out. Morobe Governor Kelly Naru was at the morgue on Saturday to see the relatives of the victim. He has called on a swift investigation into the death of the woman.
Assistant Commissioner Blong Momase, Mr. Alan Mondiay, Mr. PPC Bloyumi, one time all policeman Blolay, long investigating this case na me like.
A Gurako man with wounds to his hands and leg was transported to Leys Angau Hospital on the same day. Gurako villagers have since called for an independent investigation team to look into what happened at their village.
Provincial Police Commander Kaiglo Ambane personally visited the village yesterday. He assured the villagers that an investigation will be carried out to establish exactly the cause of death. He also urged the villagers to keep the Bulolo Highway open for public use. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Ley.
The National Housing Corporation is again put under the spotlight, and this time serious allegations relating to cash payments and bribery were pointed out by 8 tenants of residential flats at Tokarara who were evicted last Thursday. But NHC Managing Director John Dege brushed aside these allegations and ordered the tenants back to the houses with a strong warning to them to pay up their rentals.
These people have become victims of an eviction carried out by the National Housing Corporation. Since last Thursday, they have been sleeping in open outside the blocked units, living on soft drinks and biscuits, and using only one water tap.
4 days, we must sleep, no rain. We must step outside now. New tenant come inside. And we plus something stress. Awesome life here.
Jermaine Miro, who has occupied a unit for over 36 years now, says they were asked to pay up in full or 50% in cash to NHC officers in order to remain as tenants.
We tried to make part payment, they couldn't accept part payment, and make other arrangements to settle their amount. The amounts are not substantive, they just lousy 7,000 to 4,000.
Now, all this is how step outside Lorraine, one time all sleep outside Lorraine. Now, we're beginning to go school.
Students were missing classes, properties were piled up outside the house, and doors were chained and padlocked.
We've been here for the last 30 to 40 years. We grew up here, we came here, we stayed. Listen, we grew up here. We are old in this place.
But NHC Managing Director John Dege told MTV News this afternoon that he was aware of only 4 houses and not 8. Mr. Dege says the 8 Tokarara families can move back into the units but must pay up their rentals.
Evicting 8 families at our Tokarara hostel. The simple reason been that they have not paid for the last 13 years, between 13 to 15 years. That forced us to evict them, but on humanitarian concern and because the evicted families are currently living at the corridor of the property, I feel compelled that they should be reinstated into the property, but I'd like them to come forward to Housing Corporation office and show some signs of wanting to retire those debts owing. Otherwise, we will continue to allow people to live in government properties without paying rentals, and it will not be too good.
So notice may have been given, and if they are affected, their units are affected, they better front up and make appropriate payments.
Housing has become a burden for many families in NCD and other main centers. High rentals are a concern, and how soon the national government housing scheme will become available is something yet to be announced. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Despite the fact that Papua New Guinea conducted a national census in 2011, there is still an uncertainty with the rate at which our population is growing. The average population growth of PNG remains very high. The population policy launched recently by the National Planning and Monitoring Department looks at its implications on responsible sustainable development.
The precise rate at which our population is growing is in doubt. This came after the results from the 2011 national census was collected. The latest census shows very high intersection growth rates from the 2000 census at the national, regional and provincial level. Especially for the Highlands region, their fertility, mortality and net migration rates cannot be explained. This has led to problems with the formulation of policy projections and the forecasting of future requirements with regards to service delivery.
This issue of population and responsibility, looking after our children, looking after our daughters, empowering women, I'm just so pleased at how it's now elevated significantly in our public psyche. It wasn't so long ago that these things were simply not spoken about. They were sort of taboo subjects. Let's not talk about babies and contraception and sex. You know, those things, that's something for the bedroom.
Since the first census was collected in 1966, the average rate of population growth in PNG has remained very high at 2% per year. The vast decline in early childhood mortality during 1970s did not continue after 1980. The transition happened because basic health services were available. However, a large proportion of women and children in the rural areas still do not have access to some form of basic services like a community health post.
Human Development Index, which is our Vision 2050, it's right at the top there. And we've actually set a target for 2017 in terms of where we should be for HDI if we're going to progress into being within the top 50 in the world.
The National Population Policy 2015 to 2024 supports the efforts of the Health Department to establish community health posts with full-time employees. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Well, Air Niugini has temporarily suspended all flights to Kundiawa Airport in the Simbu province starting from the 1st of March. In a statement, Air Niugini Corporate Affairs Department clarified that the suspension was indefinite due to the National Airports Corporation carrying out maintenance on the runway. All passengers who have booked their flights and issued tickets are advised to reroute or travel through Mount Hagen or Goroka, and no penalty fees will be applied. Air Niugini has 3 flights a week into Kundiawa, operating every Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. However, the suspension is indefinite and the airline will advise once all works are completed and flights return to normalcy. You're with National EMTV News. Among stories coming up after the break, the Australian government's continued efforts in the Kokoda initiative. Stay with us for that and more. Good to have you back with the news. The Australian government, through the Kokoda initiative, is continuing to promote social and economic development. Australian High Commissioner to PNG, Deborah Stokes, recently opened new school facilities in the Central Province. She said Australia is committed to promoting development in areas of health and education.
The Australian government, represented by the High Commissioner to PNG, joined communities in Sogeri in Central Province last week to open new classroom facilities. Facilities included a double classroom and safe drinking water installations for the elementary schools in Depot and Vesulogo. This project was co-funded by the Koyari local level government and the Australian government through the Kokoda initiative. The High Commissioner said both governments will work with communities along the Kokoda track and with the local level government to improve health and education under the initiative.
Brings together 3 things that are very important to Australia. We support Papua New Guinea to become an even stronger nation, to develop and to have its economic growth reach everyone. So this project is part of that. We're also strong believers in education. Education is important in every nation. It's vital in Papua New Guinea.
She said in addition to protecting the region, Australia and PNG are committed to promoting the economic and social development. The Kokoda initiative is an arrangement between the governments of PNG and Australia to protect the natural, cultural and historic values of the Owen Stanley Ranges and the Kokoda Track. These new facilities will now provide better learning environment for over 100 students. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
2 community-led projects in the Highlands aimed at accelerating the Millennium Development Goals have proven successful. Rolled out in 2014, the pilot initiative set out to support community development projects. Recently, a delegation led by the European Union visited Western Highlands and Jiwaka to access the progress of the projects. The delegation visited Domil village in Jiwaka and Trolga village in the Western Highlands province. Domil is about to complete a cassava feed mill and poultry processing plant, while Trolga Health Centre serves a community of more than 8,000 people. The community-led MDG projects are funded by the European Union with a grant of about 3 million kina. Remote parts of the Komo-Magarima district are slowly receiving much-needed government services. Roads are now linking these areas to the provincial capital of Tari. Benaria Station is one area that has been linked by road after 40 years.
Benaria Station in the Komo-Magarima district has a population of 13,000 people. It takes 3 days on foot to reach the provincial capital Tari. This has hampered service delivery to the area. Schools are constantly without teachers and health services are lacking. Agilo Herebe, a local, describes Benaria as the back page of Komo-Magarima, neglected by successive leaders. The recent construction of the road has gradually improved service delivery to the area, but the people feel service delivery will be short-lived now that their MP Francis Potape is behind bars.
And before you had me blessed up, no road, no school, no house sick. Member for the mixing member time. Really got them come here. I'm like finishing men or them yet go carabusina. Machine program, sit down, stop here. Mageta working lab here. There is all that something I'm like give him service to Benaria people there. And made them go carabusina. Now I'm stopping and stop here.
News of his sentencing has brought about much distress to the people. They have taken up arms to disrupt the gas pipeline in the area, but were refrained by the leaders on the ground. They gathered over the weekend at Benaria Station to express their concerns.
Possible make him also name stop go finish in this play area mi plano save life mi plano gold so mi plano save.
Kimano send mi plano papa grand long here. Mi plano bin save but lately people are making babla as well semna. I'm starting Calabus. Calabus I'm go but I'm losing the papa ground. Now this is a project where people have plan and make him. Some kind project him not sim come in chat. All the something we play loose now.
They want responsible leaders on the ground not to ignore their plight but to complete the work left by their MP Francis Potape. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
For the past 2 weeks, the people of Komo-Magarima district have been in a period of mourning. This was to express their sympathy for their leader, Francis Potape, who was sentenced to jail last month. Many of them feel his sentence could affect service delivery to their various villages.
They came in droves while others walked for miles from as far away as Bosavi to attend the rally. Their banners carried slogans expressing their grief. Though they respected the decision of the courts, they still could not come to terms with the sentencing of their leader Francis Potape. During his term in office, tangible developments have been felt throughout the 6 districts of Komo-Magarima, and his conviction and jailing was a dark day for the people.
Sorry, because law togos and working wrong and working wrong to this. So you mean not making wrong because we are carrying soreta so stuff. Plus thinking back why we are submit side thinking big plot thinking not them. People walk and starting on that's all said by Johnny said by this.
Deputy Governor for Hela Province Thomas Potape urged the people not to take matters into their own hands to disrupt the services in the district. He says funds will be raised to support legal fees to achieve an amicable outcome for the convicted Komo-Magarima MP. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
The Eastern Highlands Provincial Government today signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Office of Climate Change to construct solar farm projects in the province. Governor Julie Soso, Provincial Administrator Solomon Tato, and Director of the Office of Climate Change, Mr. Varigini Badira, did the signing in Goroka. The MOU is a step forward for Eastern Highlands in its endeavours as the green province in Papua New Guinea. Following the signing, solar farms will be constructed in 3 rural districts in the province to produce clean, sustainable and renewable energy. Last week, the issue regarding the lack of foreign currency affecting the Games venue's construction schedule was discussed on the floor of Parliament. Today, in an exclusive interview with EMTV News, Sports Minister Justin Chichenko said the lack of foreign currency in the banks is no longer an issue due to the intervention with commercial banks and the central bank. With the delay has set back construction work for 3 to 4 weeks, he assured the progress on the venues was in order and the games will be delivered.
Problem solved. There was a lack of foreign currency. There was. That has been resolved with the intervention of the different bank chairmen and managers and working with our Finance and Treasury Department and the Bank of Papua New Guinea to ensure that the contractors are given priority for the purchase of their materials from overseas. And I want to thank everybody involved of fixing that problem. These are some of the problems that we face which are unexpected through the games that were unforeseen, but we all work together to resolve it, and that has been resolved.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3785 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, your kina was fetching $0.371 $0.4699 Australian dollars, €0.323 and 43.76 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and copper closed the day lower, cocoa closed higher, while palm oil closed higher and crude oil and copper closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 155 points higher, the ASX closed at 27 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 27 points higher as well. And still to come on National EMTV News tonight, the mass production of drones in Japan also affects Japan's efforts in fighting terrorism and Fiji-China relations. Stay with us for that and more. Good to have you back with the news. Turning overseas now, a Tokyo-based manufacturer has launched Japan's first mass production program for drones in the evacuation zone around the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Kikuchi Seisakusho on Friday performed a demonstration flight for a small unmanned aircraft at a new factory in the Odaka district in Minamisoma City.
The drone is the creation of a venture company set up by Chiba University. It weighs about 3 kilograms, has 6 propellers, and can stay airborne for up to 30 minutes at a time. It takes off and lands automatically and can also hover. Kikuchi says each drone costs about $17,000 to make, but it hopes to cut that amount by half. The manufacturer has already received orders from customers in Japan and the US. It plans to build 400 drones a year. Officials in charge of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant are using drones to measure radiation levels throughout the complex. Experts say the demand for such aircraft will grow in the delivery services sector and other industries such as infrastructure and agriculture.
これから本当に加速させるためにはまず産業を作って、それで人がそこで働いているっていう姿がぐっと活気が出てきますから、ドローン工場っていうのはすごく第一歩になるのかなと思ってますけどね。
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has vowed to make every effort to prevent acts of terrorism as Japan prepares for the 2020 Olympics and Paralympics. Abe said his government is working towards gathering and analyzing information to catch early signs of dangerous activities to prevent terrorists from entering Japan and to guard key public facilities. He said the government will review its counter-terrorism plans when circumstances warrant and will make every effort to prevent acts of terrorism. Abe also referred to Japan's National Security Council, a response to the recent hostage crisis in the Middle East involving the beheading of 2 of its citizens. This year marks the 40th anniversary of Fiji-China diplomatic relations and the 160th anniversary of the first Chinese into Fiji. The Chinese Association of Fiji will soon be launching a book on the history of the many Chinese families that settled in Fiji.
This year marks the 40th anniversary of Fiji-China diplomatic relations and the 160th anniversary of the first Chinese into Fiji.
The Chinese community in Fiji is very proud of the flourishing relationship between China and Fiji. Last year, Fiji welcomed President by both countries to strengthen economic links and cultural ties. President Xi's visit has been the catalyst for further interest by the Chinese in tourism and investment in Fiji.
Sito says the association also has more exciting plans for the year.
We will be planning events around this, and will also launch a book on the history of the many Chinese families in Fiji and their contribution to our beloved country.
The chief guest at the event was the Prime Minister of Orenge Bainimarama, who commended the Chinese community for the vital role they've played in the development of Fiji as a nation.
The Chinese were one of the earliest groups of foreign settlers to come to Fiji, and the Chinese community has played an important role in our nation's development. We pay tribute to their contribution today and thank the community for their loyalty to our nation, their dedication and their hard work.
He added that the increased number of Chinese visitors from China in recent years have helped our tourism industry tremendously.
We are expanding our economic ties and strengthening our cultural and educational exchanges. I'm told that the annual volume of trade between China and Fiji has reached 695 million Fijian dollars and is growing on current figures by 12% a year.
Bainimarama also paid tribute to the Chinese government, saying it stuck by Fiji in 2006 when most traditional partners had abandoned the country.
And National EMTV News continues with True Kind Sports. That's coming up next, and I'll be back with all the details. Stay tuned.
True Kind Sports.
Welcome to True Kind Sports. Well, the 2015 Pacific Games is a windfall for businesses in Papua New Guinea. The Games have encouraged public-private partnerships through business opportunities for many Papua New Guineans. To date, over 200 local Papua New Guinean companies have been engaged with the 2015 Pacific Games. MTV's Lorraine Genia files this report.
Pacific Games will greatly benefit the business community. In fact, it is already benefiting businesses through contracts for preparing the facilities for the Games. For the construction industry, the Pacific Games has provided the perfect opportunity to harness public-private partnerships, with the government spending 1.5 billion kina on the construction phase alone.
Since the Games started, it has employed nearly 20,000 people, which is from the construction sites to the Pacific Games Authority to the subcontractors that provide services to the venues committees and so on. It's basically a 360 approach where everybody benefits from the grassroots right up to the small business enterprises.
Already 51 million kina had been shared with the business community for work for the Games. These business opportunities and partnerships will go towards supporting the Games in Port Moresby.
Games provides an opportunity which is just tremendous for the development of business here in Papua New Guinea. In many instances, we're requiring either volumes of product or types of product that are perhaps not readily available here, which provides a fantastic opportunity for local businesses to be able to upskill their workforce and to develop joint partnerships with people.
Chief Executive Officer of the Games Organising Committee, Peter Stewart, said the Games will encourage business, trade, investment and tourism and will complement Papua New Guinea's economy in 2015.
The point of view of tourism, we're going to have over 4,000 people, visitors to our shores, coming, having a fantastic times during the Games, and then going home and being personal testimonials to the value of coming to Papua New Guinea, how friendly our people are, how wonderful the sites are, all the amazing things that you can see and do. In addition to that, we're going to have nearly 300 international media who are going to do exactly the same thing.
With 1,500 hours of broadcasting, the Games will also showcase the communication infrastructures in place and Papua New Guinea's capabilities of broadcasting an event of this scale. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
And with just 1 month away from the first leg of the 2015 Pacific Games Relay, another sponsor has been confirmed by the Games Committee. In a news conference at the Crown Plaza in Port Moresby, Oil Search Limited announced their sponsorship of the Games Relay. The Games Relay will be travelling throughout the 22 provinces, encouraging the involvement of the wider population of Papua New Guinea.
The Oil Search Pacific Games Relay will be an opportunity for all Papua New Guineans to be involved in an event that encompasses sport, culture and heritage. Today, Oil Search announced their engagement with the Games Relay as the official naming sponsor. Chief Executive Officer of the GOC, Peter Stewart, said having Oil Search on board will greatly benefit the team, offering their services and support.
Yes, they're providing funds, but probably more importantly, what they're doing is they're providing expertise about running a business here in Papua New Guinea. And because they're a local company who have been operating for a long period of time here, they allow us to do the things we need to do by sharing their experience and their staff and their resources with us to enable us to give great outcomes.
The Games Relay will be a celebration of Papua New Guinea's culture. The baton, designed by world-renowned Papua New Guinean artist Gigmai Kundun, will travel throughout the 22 provinces, providing Papua New Guineans with the opportunity to be a part of the Games.
The Oil Search Pacific Games Relay will engage many people in celebrations of sports and culture, and we are very pleased to be supporting this event. This colorful event provides our company with an excellent opportunity to share and celebrate the 2015 Games.
The relay baton was on display for the first time at the Crown Plaza in Port Moresby, where athletes and members of the GOC were able to witness the artistic work of art, which symbolises an important part of Papua New Guinea's tradition at the 2015 Pacific Games. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
PNG Samoa is set to defend its title as the current volleyball kings of the Pacific. The team has been preparing well since the 2013 Mini Pacific Games, where they dethroned champion volleyball nation Wallis and Futuna. President of the PNG Volleyball Federation, Bernard Alu, is thrilled with the team's progress under volleyball's national coaching director, Marty Collins.
Being put as made as the kings of the Pacific, especially in volleyball for the men. So definitely it'll be a big challenge, especially from Wallis and Futuna, because they've been the best best team in the Pacific, and also Tahiti and I think New Caledonia. They'll be our main threats, especially for these games. But definitely, it's at in PNG. We're at the home soil here, so we're going to give them a big challenge. But it's going to be very hard for them to get it back from us. It's going to be ours. Yeah.
Yesterday's doubleheader in the National Soccer League and sailing. I'll bring you those stories in True Kai Sports coming up next.
True Kai Sports.
Good to have you back with True Kai Sports. Soccer now. RFC suffered a 3-0 loss at the hands of Medang FC in Saturday's National Soccer League doubleheader. In other matches, Hekari FC and POM FC settled for a 0-0 draw.
A doubleheader in the Telecom National Soccer League yesterday. The first match was between Hekari and FC Port Moresby, with exciting and fiery style of football. The Reds kept the pressure on FC POM right throughout the game with continuous attack at the goalmouth. Both sides were good at defense, but despite Hekari having more ball possession, they failed to find the back end of the net. The FC POM defense was outstanding, keeping the champions at bay. The match ending in a scoreless draw. The second match was between Medang and Oro FC. Medang took advantage of the tiring Oro defense, as Oro had only 2 days of rest before the match. The visitors from Oro were thrashed 3-0 in a clinical 5-minute spell late in the second half. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
18 sailors competed in the regatta pre-season yesterday in Port Moresby. The competition was in 2 categories, the single-hulled lasers and the dual-hulled hobby cats. Sailors not only competed to win, but also to make the selection for Team PNG sailing for the Pacific Games. Selected sailors will attend a training camp in Australia to compete in a number of state tournaments in preparation for July. Final 8 sailors will be selected to represent Papua New Guinea. And that pretty much wraps up our sporting news segment for tonight. The weather details coming up next. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, the nation's capital, to look forward to partly cloudy weather with a few showers. Fine weather expected in Daro. In Popondetta, showers plus rain. In Momasa region, a few showers expected in Ley City, few showers developing over Madang, and in Wewak and Vanimore, showers expected. In the New Guinea Islands, mostly fine tonight, then possible showers tomorrow for Loringa. In the other centres, mostly fine. In the Highlands region, partly cloudy with chances of light showers plus morning fog anticipated in all centres. Forecast for small ships looking at waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daro to Kiwai Island, Karama, Yule Island through to Hood Point, Samarai Island and Long Island to Madang, Bogia, Wewak to Aitape, through to Vanimore and the northern PNG Indonesian border, through to the New Guinea Islands in New Ireland, to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 metres to 1.3 metres. And ocean forecast for PNG areas: Coral Sea, seas slight to moderate with southwest to westerly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Solomon Sea, seas slight to moderate as well with northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And for the Bismarck Sea and Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. Now, before we go, as always, quickly recapping our main stories again tonight. Less than 50 doctors graduate annually to cater for the country's ever-increasing population, which now stands at 7 million. Also, another victim of alleged police shooting during a confrontation in Ley City, and evicted residents of NHC flats told to return, but also ordered to pay up rentals. Well, that's been National EMTV News this Monday night. On behalf of the entire news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.